But when you really think about it, what village? I feel like you're delusional. Imagine coming from a village full of perpetrators, and then now you have your little family, and it's like, if you carry it back to that same village there, that same village there where they take your advice, if you carry back your witness them too. That don't make sense. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're not, big up on yourself. Let's begin. So for this topic, I wanted to speak about the village. The village is dead, and how much the village is dead, and why do I think the village is dead, and why the village has been dead for longer than we think it has been dead, right? And what really prompted this conversation is just some discord that I've been seeing online, and just some conversation with the whole, the family them where I get exposed, etc., etc. If you're from the Caribbean, you know me at Tabo. And it made me wonder, like, how everybody's like, there's no village, and how, like, us the millennials, we don't do the village, and this with the village, and the village and the that. And while I understand that, yes, we have some millennials when they listen to the village, but let's not forget the conversation that a lot of people aren't having. We're not having a conversation that the village was dead before us. We're not having a conversation that the village, our parents were probably Gen X's, and they had the village or so. They had whatever was less. They got the ending part of the village. They got the village towards the ending. They got the village towards the point of when, like, as we got older, that's where the point of where the village was a bit, like, we could say, crumbling at that time. So they got that part of the village. But the difference with them and us is that we know it's in a village, and they're like, we already, like, there's no village. But with them, I think they ignored the fact that the village was crumbling. And I want to take it back a bit. So they got the ending part of the village, but I think when they were younger, the village was there, but the village was there, but that same village was hurting them. And that same village kept the people who were hurting them around them. That same village, fostered safe space for predators. That same village, while it had its good things and its perks, it also had its bad things. So that same village was there, but what a lot of people forget to mention is the things that happened within the village. And it makes you wonder, because I always hear people talk about, villages and big families and stuff, and it's like, is it possible? It's like, is it possible to have a village without the perpetrators of them? Or, like, we can't say without, because in every situation you're going to have some part of there's always a bad apple. Like, nobody's perfect, no group not perfect, you always have a bad apple. But is there any village that have perpetrators and actually hold them accountable? I think that's what it is. The village lacked accountability, especially in our parents' younger days. So that's them, the Gen Xers are the baby boomers. I think that was the baby boomers. It was a lot of protecting of the perpetrators, and when the baby boomers became the older ones, then they had the Gen Xers, right? And I feel like the Gen Xers it was a mixture of people who still had the baby boomers mindset and people who were like, no, we're not doing this village anymore. But we're always complaining, there's no village, there's no village, there's no village. But that village had so many perpetrators and so many wrongdoers in there. What village are we missing? Because we can all think about the days that we had when we were younger, and the community that we had, but we were younger. But what a lot of us aren't admitting now, so a lot of us fail to understand, and what I am realizing as I get older, is that when we had that community when we were younger, as we get older and start to see some of these people for who they really are, we realize that village was just a myth. That village was a facade. That village isn't what we thought it were when we were kids. That village is actually filled up of perpetrators. But as children, we didn't realize that until we get older. So what makes you think that no, we want to continue that village? In my opinion, I think right now, I wouldn't say right now, but it's not, everybody is complaining. So there's the breakdown of the family dynamic. There's the breakdown of the village. But I don't think we can have a village, have a family dynamic without holding people accountable. And it's holding people accountable even when it's hard. I think that's really what it is. It's like, all right, you don't know what's happening, right? You don't know, you're not aware, but it's getting the knowledge, knowing what's happening, and then acting, like actually doing something to prevent it. That's the only way an actual village or a thrive, because I've known so many people with villages, and just overall where you see online that they had the village but they were hurt by the people in the village, the people who pretended to be part of the village, and then people that hurt them. So it's like, yeah, to me there's always good and bad people. It's how are we going to hold these people accountable? Seeing like everybody have an understanding now, so where it concerns even children, the whole we just have to go know say you can't their own certain kids and certain people you're not gonna have their own. It's I don't know, like the village is dead. It is crumbling. And for the people who are going to say, oh no, speak for yourself, the village, your village is dead, or X person village is dead, or whatever, I'm not talking to you guys. Like if you have a village now and it's not filled with perpetrators, then that's amazing, and big of yourself, and this video probably isn't for you. But I'm talking for the ones who them they really have no village, and people keep on at, you know, don't talk. So like I've seen Discord online like, oh, the reason why people you don't have a village anymore is because X, Y, and Z, and really I blame it on probably like the millennials. But what a lot of people aren't understanding is that the millennials were alive and well and young when the village, for the entail of what we consider to be a village, and we grew up and realized that, like I mentioned earlier, is that yes, it was a village. Yes, there was fun times. Yes, there was good times and that family dynamic. But the village had perpetrators. So it's like you're stuck with this. It's like you're stuck with the option of maintaining the village, maintaining the family dynamic, but also understand that there's going to be perpetrators who are going to come along. And in order to keep this family dynamic, you have to be willing to push things under the rug, right? Not hold people accountable and not have hard conversations. And we can't have a village without hard conversations. And that's why now, because I am family oriented, I love having a village. I love having people around me. But as I get older, I start notice certain things, and then at one point I'm sitting and it's like, is the village like it worth it? It even worth safe in the village? Because imagine I try keep the village together, but you are try keep the village together, you know, but then you start to see everybody involved in the village individually for who they really are, where it includes them pros, them cons, them highlights, and them flaws. And then you start to see it's like you have that adult realization, like, damn, some of these people aren't good people. Village are not. Like some of them, like I really want to keep them in their life. Some of them are not good people. Like from a lot of things when I read online, I see it's like after a while you realize that some of the adults where you know, you realize, damn, some of these people aren't worth being in your village anymore. And then when you start to take out a lot of these people out of the village, it's like, oh shit, without these people there's no village. So what's the result? Like, how do you hold up a village? And it's just like now that problem is like falling on like millennials, I will say. Who come before we need to learn that before we start talking, you know, the generation before we, right? So it's like it's a fault upon we, even though we got the entail of the village. We are a part of the millennials are a part of the village. That's we were supposed to be the ones to continue the village, but we were also the ones who were hurt by the village and had the option to have a voice after. You understand? So the people then before when them get hurt by the village, they didn't have a voice. They weren't able to say things. They weren't able to say no. And then even when them get hurt by the village, it was just like, damn, I just have to deal with it. And that is why a lot of them right now in them later years are so angry and so just hurt and have so much pain because them never have a voice. When it concerns millennials, some of us still, I'll say some have a voice, some don't have a voice, but a lot of us are working to do better and to have a voice. But I think it's kind of counterproductive to tell us like we need to maintain the village, right? But that village still has some of the elders in there or violate. You understand? So how do you maintain a village where still full of elders where violate you? I hope I'm making sense here. In my opinion, the village, it dead. Like the village where it concerns blood relatives, it dead. Right now, the village that I see millennials building, you know, going forward, are gonna be people with them meet with other blood relatives and just a few close blood relatives who have the same mindset and up on the same page as them. That's what the village is going to look like going forward. We know the village of being mostly people in your bloodline, grandparents, uncle, auntie, Ray, and people were close to you. But now it's like, how we brought them curse them? Because as you get older, you're hearing stories of what happened to people within the village. People were supposed to take care of you, right? And then them people that get held accountable by some people, not everybody, some people are holding them accountable. But then the other question is, yes, if that happen, that means that the village where that person that did did do them something already. If you not catch the drift, like when I catch what I say, that person, may not make excuses, you know. Cause yeah, you gotta get what the dog get. But I think the mindset that we need to have going forward is that person there that in our village will foster the environment there. We basically build that person for be with that evil person this person with that person become at the village build that. That is a result of the village. And while some people were also in the village, some people were also done wrong, some people were also, you know, in certain situations, and they were able to grow above it. Speak to some of those people and see how hard it was for them to grow above it, and do them counseling and get above that, and how them life change. All right, so there's people who grow above it, that's true, but there's people who don't. There's people who pass down that same lifestyle with them learn that same hurt. You know what I'm saying? Hurt people. They pass down that same hurt to people as well, continuously. And it's like, you keep on hear about the village dead long time. The village was dying when we were younger. The village right now are dead because our children I was having this conversation, and I think I had this conversation before. Our children, lots of them will not have that cousin vibe and family vibe that some of us experienced. It's sad, but I feel like, because let me tell you, at first I was like, oh my gosh, we need to bring everybody together, we need to have this village, we need to have this village, we need to have this village. But one, if you're the only person who want to be the glue, it can be difficult sometimes. Two, what is the point of bringing that old village back together? We're stuck in them ways, where probably some of them aren't good people either, where, you know, them same people that were the perpetrators still in the village. What a point? What a point of getting them together? What a point of trying to maintain that, you know? So that's why I conclude that the village is in fact dead. There isn't a village anymore. There isn't, I won't say anymore, maybe for some people there isn't a village, but when you really think about it, what village? I feel like I'm delusional, because even when we did younger, we did have a so-called village. Like I mentioned earlier, that village had so many perpetrators in there. I'm not say everybody got through it, but that village had so many perpetrators in there to this day that has not been held accountable. Really think about it. If a lot of those people are held accountable in the village, there's a lot of people around who would have seen no more, and it will be left up to, I won't say this, but I don't want it to sound like sympathy. I'm trying to say we need to keep the village together. No, it's really think about it. A lot of them people, I want to see, wouldn't be around because we're not holding them accountable. And that is the hard part, because a lot of them, it's like, oh damn, like if we do this, if we do X, the result are gonna be Y. And a lot of people don't want the result, because that means you're going to be broken away, and then you'll probably be blamed for breaking up what's this so-called family. And I'm at a point where, because I'm family oriented, I want everybody love everybody, want everybody, like literally want everybody grow up together. But I feel like I'm personally at a point where it's like, damn, it worth it? Is it even worth it? Like, I'm not gonna say no to the gathering, but on the other hand, it's like, what I would like it to be, it's not something that it will be, because again, that mindset is still alive. So do you wait until you get older, wait until your kids get older, and then you just build a village. Because right now we're building our own village with people around us that aren't family, right? You build a village there, and then as you get older, what do we do? Because people are talking about, because we're living in a time where the shift is more of, you know how them say with slavery, a lot of women know where I come from, so when I know where I go. I feel like we're reliving that, not slavery, so I'm not saying slavery, just that shift of our children won't know where they're coming from because we cut out a part of them life. And for some people it was warranted, because you don't really want to have that type of energy, like you just don't want that. But there's some things that our children need to know about our family history, and I do believe that there's some things in family history that should be left alone. Me feel like some things, I'm not talk if it include holding nobody accountable, that's different, but I feel like there's some things, just allow it. If you don't want a burden to deal with the stresses that come with certain things, leave it where it is, but pick out the good, you know. And then the question is, what's the conclusion? Like, right? Like, how do you move on from here? And my conclusion to this is, yes, the village is dead, and I agree, I think it is dead, but the conclusion with to build community around you, it doesn't have to be blood, and understand that village, that family friendly homey feeling that we have with a lot of people around us, it not gonna be the same anymore, because a lot of us, you know, we're hip to the thing. A lot of us have boundaries more, a lot of us are saying no, a lot of us aren't putting up with things anymore, so we separate ourselves from a lot of things. It's understandable, so it's like up to us now to basically build a village. And also, this is something that I'm also working on, is that even though the family won't be as close as it is, I feel like it's important to know who is in your family, right? Because if we don't keep a record of that, as we get older and we go further and further apart, we're going to lose parts of our family, even if we're not blood. But I feel like there's some things that we're supposed to know about them, know that they exist. So if our kids run into their kids down the line, them can put pieces together, because that's where we're at now. So I feel like we should record that. You know, this person is in our family. I think every family should have like a family historian and record certain things and say, you know, I'm probably not gonna deal with that person in going well, but let me record X, Y, and Z. And I know some people want, and for different people, they might not want to do that because they basically want to delete certain parts of their life. But your children will end up going back and looking for certain parts of their life and have questions as to why certain things happened. So that's my conclusion here. Build your own community, build your own village, and just go on, you know, build your own village, build your own community, and don't feel bad for basically ending the village, because the village had perpetrators in it. You know, as much as we love that homey family feeling, the village was the perpetrator them did in them village there. They were in those villages. So, the village is dead. Yeah, it dead. Imagine coming from a village full of perpetrators, and then now you have your little family, and it's like, if you carry it back to that same village there, that same village there where they take your advice, if you carry back your hitting them too. That don't make sense. That don't make sense at all. And you know, more I see people where they're very helicopterish. Now I don't agree with helicopter at all. I not agree with it, but I understand it. I feel like I understand it, and I also think that we need to figure out ways how to do it where they can still interact, still know certain things, still have a life. But I understand helicopter. I get it, especially with children. I'm not talking just girl and boys. I get the helicopter, because if some of we were helicopters from back in the day, things would have been way different. Some of we should have helicopter here. What to say, you know? And then it's not just helicopter without, it can be conditional helicopter either. Like, Me get it. I understand it. Me get it, man. And one more thing I want to add is speaking to our children and creating the importance of speaking to our children and creating safe spaces for them. I feel like that's something that I'm going to put in the next video, because this video is pretty long right now. But that's my rant on why I think the village is dead.